Hello everybody, Josh Keys from Lacuna. Today I'm going to show you guys how to play Lorelei.
Lorelei, don't give up, Lorelei, don't give up yet.
As always, I'll post the tabs for the parts that we're working on right up there on the screen. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, the most interesting part about the very first part is the count. Technically, the way that I wrote it in my own head, it's counted as 2, 3, 4 bars followed by 2, 4, 4 bars. So then it ends up being like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's probably the easiest way to count the thing. You start out with your ring finger on the 9th fret on the G string, but you're constantly pedaling this E on the bass with your thumb. Right? So for most of these things, I'm actually just picking with my middle finger and my thumb finger. So, thumb, middle. See what I'm saying? Usually for that open E string I use my ring finger, but on everything else I'm pretty much just using my middle finger. And then technically on the album, I played full chords when I went down. So to do those, I almost always fret my bass notes with my thumb on my left hand. See what I'm saying? And then I wanted that B to be ringing out the whole time. But actually when I play it live, I usually just keep on pedaling that E and just bring down the 5th and the 3rd and leave out the bass notes. So instead it's going, see what I'm saying? This part of your hand right here is where you want to mute your E string. So when I lay it down right there, it's just a little bit of palm mute. I like a pretty light palm mute for this song, so I'm really not on there very hard or very far up. So there's only one string that I truly want to ring out, and it's this open E when I come around to it. See how it keeps on going all the way till I do that little turnaround. It rings out. That's what I want. Alright, second part.
I'm laughing, a lazy smile that he stole a conversation. Let down my money.
So the only hard part about this one, I guess, is just the way that I pick it. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going thumb, thumb, middle, the entire time. And the thing that makes it kind of sound like it's doing this circle thing, where it comes back and forth and almost sounds swirly, is because every time that I do the thumb, after the first time, the thumb, middle, I use my ring finger to grab one of the open B or E strings. So the second time around is the exact same kind of thing. Only thing is that instead of going straight back into that chorus riff, we just end on an E, on an open E chord. Alright, so this is my favorite part of the song, is the bridge. We're going to go into the bridge, and first off I'm going to show you the first chord progression and the way that I hold those chords through tabs. Right here. So your first hit you want to be really big. The idea here is to give the effect of waves crashing, and then building, and then crashing, and building, and crashing. And that's the effect you're trying to give, so when you're playing it, you need to do the same exact thing with your right hand. You need to come down with a crashing motion, and then build back up to do it again, and so on and so forth. Sorry. obviously the key here is dynamics, and it's hit it hard when you start, and then the best way to do it is envision yourself fading in, and if you were to fade in and actually have to do that as a physical motion, it would start with not touching it. So your first couple of quote-unquote hits aren't really hits at all. So what you do is you stop, and then you can start bring your arm down onto the strings. So when we do that little turnaround, I do all those with up strums because it's just the way that the rhythm flows itself. Because it technically is part of a triplet time signature, but this section of the song is just in straight 4/4. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that make sense? Alright, the next part. When we go to the E minor, D over F sharp, G, A7. Here's the taps for those. Okay, so we hit that E minor with the same sort of zeal that we were hitting the other chords with. In fact, maybe a little more, because now the tide has changed. You know, something has become a little bit more in depth. It's coming closer and closer to the decision-making part of the song, and the storm is heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier, and so these waves are bigger than the last waves. So you come in with it hard. And here's the funny thing about playing guitar. It's to make a really loud strum like that, you don't just hit them all really hard, but gently and yet with a strong amount of force, you know, brush through your strings. So instead of going bang, you're going brush really hard. So you kind of pull out with it. Okay, so instead of just going, you want to take it and really dig in with your thumb. When you come down, you're going to go. By the time we get to that A7, we've pretty much moved away from any sort of build, and we're trying to trump any crashing that we've already done. I like to imagine, if you've ever seen like that movie Perfect Storm, these giant waves crash on the boat, and they're suffering, and it's hard, and it's almost knocking them over, and these huge waves hit, and huge waves hit. But to me, what seems to be the biggest, most scary thing is not when the waves actually hit you, and it's not all the big ones that have, and it's not the fact that you might drown, it's none of that. The biggest, scariest thing is when you can see the water underneath you get sucked up into this giant wave. And that's the build before it crashes. And that's almost bigger than the crash is itself. The fact that the wave got so big and basically defied gravity to such a, phenomenal extent. You're trying to do that with music. Always know that. You're purveying a great sense of something. You're never just playing notes or rhythms. You're purveying great ideas that can't be expressed in any other way because every other concept is just too oversimplified. Or exact. If you're too exact with things, they can't technically be explained. It doesn't work. And the thing about music is that you can create a sense of greatness without having to actually understand every single aspect of the story that you're telling. I don't have to sit here and tell you that there was these water molecules in the middle of a wave and the moon was pulling on the gravity. All I have to do is to give you the sense that some great storm is happening, is strum a chord in a certain way and play the music in a certain way. And it's magical. Okay, well after we get done with that part, the next part, the chords aren't any different, but what changes is that I start strumming to a certain strumming pattern. I'll show you that right here. I'll just show you how many times I would play them in the tabs, and then I'll actually show you on the guitar. So watch those.
Darling, don't sink. Darling, don't sink. Darling, don't sink.
That's when we come in with the strum. And what really happens here is that I switch sides between the bass strings and the higher strings to give it a sense of change and beat. Because if you think about a drum kit, the kick is a low noise, there is a higher noise, and it's literally as simple as that. You're doing the same thing, so you just go. So you'll notice again when we get around to the A7 again, I pretty much throw off this thing that I've been trying to do and I just make that A7 big. So when I get to that end of that song, I just hold out on the A7 for a while, and then I move up to B minor and I modulate the song, so it goes, and then back up to C sharp minor, and then I switch to a major, and then a sustained 5, and then we play the original riff, but this time we're in A. And then I just retard at the end and give a rake, which was Jay Barney's idea to give it that rake. He said, "What if she died?" Even though I don't think that she died. She might have, though. You never know. Well, anyways, I guess that's pretty much it. I hope you learn how to play Lorelei and you have a good time. It does get a little tricky to sing, but I think that you can do it. It's fun. Thanks again for listening, and be sure to check us out on Facebook or buy the song on Bandcamp at apolloandlacuna.com. Thanks, guys.